Well, today certainly is a massive day for prog rock fans, because not only has Pink Floyd re-released their Live in Pompeii record, but the Flower Kings have also released their latest album. Hi, my name is Chili from Live Listen Erased, and I'm the man with iron in my eyes, and I'm doing a 5-minute review on, of course, the Flower Kings' newest album, Love. Now, Love is the band's 17th album, and I've got to say, this is a massive, step in regards to the band. This is a very productive band. When you go and have a look over their entire catalogues, they're non-stop pumping out records. They've been around for about close to 30 years, I believe, and Mr. Stolt, I believe I've mispronounced his names in the past. I always called him Ronnie, but it's not. I think it's Rowan or Rowan or something like that. The band is from Sweden, so I'm sorry if I am butchering the name here. But anyway, Mr. Stolt himself, as I'll be referring to him from here on out, is obviously out with his band, the Flower Kings, and his newest record, Love. And it's a very intriguing affair, when you come to, at least when I have approached the Flower Kings, they are a band that have not had any bad records, when I've listened, or at least the ones that I've listened to. But at the same time, they're kind of a band that doesn't exactly stand out above the rest, but they're very, very good at what they do. They write this fantastic music, great melodies within their tunes, and of course live up to the prog rock name to a new age degree, which I will discuss. But at the same time, I don't know if I've been entirely won over. Maybe that's the reasons why they don't have tracks that stand out to me. Now, I've covered them a few times on my channel, and I've pretty much fallen into the same categories there as well, as a band that I should pay more attention to, but I don't. And the other thing as well, even though this is the 17th record, Mr. Stolt himself has much bigger catalogue than that, because of course he's a solo musician and he has many other side projects and all these other things as well. But back to, Love and what is on hand here. Now, with this album, I gotta say that I have enjoyed what I've been listening to. There was the 2 singles that were released before the album was released, How Can You Leave Us Now and Burning Both Edges. Both of these were very good tracks, fantastic to listen to. And when the album did eventually come out, with 12 tracks on hand and true to the Flower King style, it's a very long album. It's something like an hour and 11 minutes long. So 71-minute record, probably a bit of the middle of the road compared to some of the other releases, which are much longer. But yeah, look, Love is an album that has 12 tracks. I don't think the runtime is entirely to its detriment. I think it's not a bad runtime at the end of the day. Maybe it does kind of meander on a little bit in sections, particularly in the middle of the album, but it begins off with a very strong suit, in particular with the second track, The Elder, which is a 11-minute kind of magnum opus, of this record. One of my favourite tracks in particular was The Elder, when I'm looking over this, and it's just a fantastic little effort that really does showcase how prog rock can be done. And I just have to wonder, how did these guys write so much music and still keep it rather fresh? So, it was one of these pieces here. The other one that I wanted to give a mention to was The Rubble, which is a piece that I thought had a little bit of potential when you're listening, in particular to the start of it, but kind of veers off course at some stage and kind of goes into common territory. I get the funny feeling, though, in a live setting, this would be a bit different. Maybe the band would start to freeform jam around pieces, or maybe incorporate it into a melody piece. I don't know, something just tells me there is potential within the rubble of that track there. There are other tracks on there that I don't particularly feel too fondly for. Kaiser Razor, for example, is only a short minute, 2.5 minute track. Don't particularly like it. And like I said, the middle of the section, pretty much hear a little bit for the next couple of tracks. Not the strongest stuff I've heard. Of course, we get to the final track, which is Considerations, a 10-minute affair, which is quite boisterous, ambitious in sections, and gives way to a lot of music as well. So it's an interesting album that I've enjoyed. One of the biggest things that I found when I was listening to the singles prior to the album's release was that it led me down a nice little rabbit hole, because the music that was suggested afterwards, including bands like Spock's Beard and all these other little prog rock outfits from the 90s and onwards, is just great, and it's mostly stuff that I'm very unfamiliar with, but I've heard the names of in particular. So when I went down this path, it was just a great listen. I'm not skipping any of the tracks that I was playing, and I had a long time to listen to it. I was stuck in traffic, so I've listened to a lot of music, and it was just one of those moments, that felt kind of special an unexpected journey, I guess you could call it. And it was just great to listen to this new age of prog rock, because while the Flower Kings is technically prog, progressive rock, it's more of an umbrella kind of term, I guess you could almost say. It feels enveloping, very overarching kind of themes. Obviously, they have their styles within. They kind of fall into a pop kind of area in certain aspects. Not too much, of course, into what is to be considered traditional pop. But they got this varied charm and sound within their music. So, there is definitely that new age kind of neo-progressive rock sound, but not the 80s neo-progressive when I say that word. It's very signature when you listen to it, and say you go on a shuffle from here out, and you listen to bands like I said, Spock's Beard. There is a signature tone within this kind of thing, and we're not talking extensively long songs. Usually these ones are between the 4 and 6 or 7 minute mark. As far as traditional prog, it could be much longer. But overall, I gotta say, this is not a bad album. So, as far as my score would go towards this record, I'm going to give this now score of 6.5 million chilies on the spicy scale. And I guess my favourite track definitely has to be The Elder and Burning Both Bridges. Now, I apologise if this is not edited, because I'm going to be going away on holidays shortly. So this is kind of like a quick throw it out there before I go on holidays and fly out in a few hours. But at the end of the day, I would just also want to point out the artwork, which I think is fantastic. I think it's a great little piece of artwork that is very charismatic as well, and definitely contains a very interesting message that while this album's called Love, and this muscled man who's busting through the cage, I think only love can break us free from the cage that has, enveloped us. So maybe it's on the nose and the point, or maybe there's other meanings behind it. But I think it's a very intriguing album artwork, and I think it's a pretty solid album by the band, and they have a lot to be, very, very proud of. So I want to hear your thoughts as always, and comment below. Tell me your favourite track of this album. Make sure to listen to the album for yourself as always, and stay spicy out there. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music related content, because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.